Are you tired of all the dating games, rules, and societal norms that make falling in love confusing and stressful?
Then join us as we ditch the script and empower you to establish healthy, conscious relationships.
This weekly podcast breaks down popular dating reality television and educates you on healthy versus toxic dating habits.
I'm Brianna, a licensed therapist.
And I'm Alex, a trauma-informed and certified narcissist recovery coach.
Are you ready to ditch the script?
Oh my God.
I love it.
So we just did that the whole 30 seconds this time.
Yeah, we did. For those who are listening, purely audio, and you interlock your fingers and you like create a wave.
Wave it. Yeah.
But then we were trying to go backwards.
Opposite.
And then Alex injured
cracked.
herself. Yeah.
My neck just was like, and I was like, oh, can we get like a better adjustment back there? Like, I'll just do this all the time if my neck's gonna crack in a good way.
Oh.
Yeah. How are you?
Well, I'm pretty good. We're on the mend. The illness is finding the illness demon is leaving my body, but it's not gone yet. How about you?
I'm same. Still sick. Still can't taste anything, which sucks because last night I made a marvelous dinner for myself, and it's really like eating feels pointless when you can't taste it, but it's a necessary thing to do.
Gotta eat.
Yeah. So I'm hoping. I mean, I keep hoping that next meal I'll be able to taste, but the reality is I'm not tasting or smelling anything.
It's gonna take a while. Does it feel the same as when you had COVID and you couldn't taste and smell?
I mean, yeah, it's like the same. It's the same vibe, but this happens to me a lot when I get colds. It's like a normal thing, but it's been 4 days of it. 4 days of no smelling. It's 11:11 over here. Yay, make a wish. Sorry.
Oh, it's 2:11. Well, it's okay.
Yeah. But other than that, I'm great. And the Shame to Self-Love Masterclass I just literally came off of doing to record this was so great. So I'm like in a really happy mood.
Yes, happy mood.
Yeah.
I love that. I've been watching The Bachelor on my phone.
There you go.
Well,
nice.
How did you watch this episode, by the way? Because
at 7 a.m. At 7 a.m.
Shut your face.
No, I had to get up and I finished it like 30 minutes before my masterclass started. So I had 30 minutes to like regulate and like review my notes of what I wanted to do and then just do the damn thing.
Wow. Queen energy up in here. Good for you.
Nothing like watching The Batch over eggs.
Eggs. Yeah, I'm in like a cottage cheese phase of my life with yeah, depending on how you receive that, you're either like, yes, cottage cheese, or you're like, gross, ew, ick.
Can I tell you my cottage cheese story?
Oh, please. You have a cottage cheese story?
Let's do. I have a cottage cheese story. So I did not grow up in a home that did cottage cheese, so it literally grossed me out. Like, I was like, this shit's weird, okay?
Understandable.
But then, when I was living in Annapolis, Maryland, there was a place in, like, Church Circle or something called Potato Valley. And I went in there one day and just picked, like, all they did was, like, stuffed potatoes with, like, crazy things, right? So I ordered one, and I didn't read the details on the menu, and it had cottage cheese in it. But I didn't know that. And so I start just devouring this potato and I'm like, this shit's so good. And then I reread the menu and it was like cottage cheese. And I was like, that's what that is? This slaps. The end. Ever since then, I have been open to cottage cheese.
And you know what? A place like Potato Valley sounds like it would cause that influence. Like it would have that effect. I love that. That's so great. I didn't necessarily grow up in a household that like had cottage cheese on the reg. It wasn't part of the menu, but my grandpa, who you know and love, was a big cottage cheese aficionado. And the thing about it is that while he did open me up to the idea that cottage cheese was very versatile and could be involved in lots of different cuisines, he didn't totally get the taste pairings right all the time. So like my introduction to cottage cheese was like is awesome with fruit. And then it was also like, and also really fucking weird with green beans. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So can you walk me through this? You do cottage cheese and like peaches.
Yeah, like I had cottage cheese and cut up mango this morning, and that was really good. But I'll also do like cottage cheese, a little oil, some lemon zest, salt and pepper on toast, and then like
that
a chopped,
sounds like a fucking vibe.
Yeah, and then like a chopped like dressed salad on top of it with like tomatoes and stuff. So it can be like in a lunch vibe, but it can also be like a dessert or like breakfast fruit vibe, whichever.
Wow,
it's really versatile. I just like wouldn't recommend to mix frozen green beans with it as Grandpa did.
No, I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But you want to know what Grandpa Abe introduced me to? Actually, you do too, and I don't think you even know this about our story.
What was it? Rotisserie chicken at Costco? Oh,
no, Nutella. You and Grandpa Abe were my first Nutella.
Shut up!
No, peanut butter.
You did not
Nutella
know about it
at the beach. Didn't even know. Didn't have a clue. I remember being like, "What is this?" And you're like, "Hazelnut spread." I was like, "What the fuck is that? What's a hazelnut?"
It's a hazelnut.
Yeah,
you'll like
good
it.
times.
It's like chocolate.
That's That's literally what you said. I think. Yeah,
you'll like it. It's
like,
chocolate.
Oh. Yeah, and you were right.
Wait. Yeah, I mean, I've yet to meet someone who like doesn't like Nutella. I don't know, like, so weird.
That happened.
Wait, you know what's so interesting? That must have been before my grandpa really doubled down on like the health to preserve his life.
We were at the beach
because, we were young. That was that.
Yeah.
In his later years, he was like no salt, no sugar, like, and that's when he was eating like cottage cheese and like. Green beans because it was like frozen vegetables and cottage cheese because he just like wanted to maximize on protein and vitamins and like minimize everything else. And I was like, yo, but like at what cost, you know?
My taste buds.
Yeah. He's like, I can't taste anything. I don't care. And I was like, respect. Respect. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Love that.
A very vivid, lovely memory of like first Nutella experience.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Oh well, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Thanks. Okay. Well, let's just like let's get down with the batch.
We're diving. We're flying over to Estonia. We're in Estonia now.
We're in Estonia. We're in Tallinn, Estonia, and I had to write that down because I was going to forget. I've never been there. I wasn't even really familiar with where it was on the map.
Same. Completely ignorant. I was like, what is this? But I want to go to there now. So let's add that to our trip list.
Actually, there were a couple things there that did kind of seem up your stream.
Which ones?
Okay. First of all,
the wife carrying?
The spa.
The spa, 100.
The spa, I thought that you would be into, but I do have lots of comments on it.
Okay, great.
I also like to be on. Like, I think that the group date did not. We'll get into it more specifically, but the group date did not take full advantage of having a living, breathing witch in their presence, like an Estonian witch. Like, please, come on.
I would have been all about that. I would have been like,
I knew
do you put hex people? Like, do you hex people? I'm just curious. Like, not like I would want to do that to anybody, but so I grew up hearing like witches equal evil, demon, people. And I'm at a point in my life where I personally am like, I can get a little witchy, you know what I'm saying? And so.
You are a little witchy. You're very witchy.
Really? Mm-hmm. You think I'm very witchy?
I think you're like Middle Earth witchy. Does that make sense?
Fuck, I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be the Gladriel to your
You just like know a lot about sense and
that likes her.
Oh,
it's a Lord of the Rings thing.
I'm not the one to ask.
It's okay.
But you know a lot about like scents, which kind of feels like potions to me, and like herbs and stuff to light on fire.
You know what you just reminded me of? When I was a wee little girl, I used to love getting in the bath and like making potions. Like that was
Yeah.
my thing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe I am a witch. I don't know. That's something I need to sit with. But I would have been like best friends with her. I would have been like, oh my God, sage me, bitch. Let's go. What's
Sage
next?
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I was very into like the Estonian witch.
I
Okay,
love
so
Taylor
Estonian
Swift.
culture. No, that
Sorry.
was
Did you
really
watch
funny.
the end? Yeah.
I did. And then it like went up in flames, and she was like, "Wow, you
Yeah,
really
you
do."
do.
She was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." We'll get into it, but yes, Estonian culture on high on level 110. It was fun. It was a fun little area of the world to learn more about.
Yeah. So Bree and
Okay.
I will add it to our roster of places to visit. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta hit
Amsterdam,
Estonia.
then Estonia. Done.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
so Charity has her one-on-one, but before she has her one-on-one, Kat pulls Sir Zach for a little chat. And I haven't been
Dun-dun-dun.
watching the Bachelor series shows for long enough to know if like this was one of the first times that someone has done that. So do you have any idea? People done that before?
Not. I mean, I'm sure it has, but it's a rarity. If so, like, I don't know. Maybe not. Like, I can't. I don't remember off the top of my head that it has happened, but I don't want to be like, no, it's never happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
We don't see it very often. It's pretty rare. I understand that it kind of goes against the structure of the agreement that the group has about how these things go. Like there's definitely a big pull to be respectful of the people who are going to have their one-on-one dates, because I think people are just wanting to show respect that they want to be shown for their dates as well, which makes
Right.
a lot of sense. So Kat pulling Zach to like have a quick chat and be like, I miss you, was very poorly received by the ladies.
I'm excited to unpack this with you because I think there's good and bad on both people's parts here.
I agree. I felt the same way. Okay. What were your initial reactions? What were you thinking?
I mean, like, I thought it was icky. Like, I got where the girls are coming from in Brooklyn, and again, we'll continue to unpack this in more depth, but like, look, golden rule, we learned this shit in kindergarten, y'all. Treat other people the way you'd want to be treated. I'm sitting there putting myself in Charity's shoes because she didn't get to go on her one-on-one date last week because Zach was sick. So that sucks. Like, she was so stoked about it, got the wind knocked out of her sails, dun. Then finally this date arrives and it's like, yes, I'm going to go. And then like before that even could happen, you know, Kat pulls him. So I can only imagine Charity feeling like, wah, wah, right? In that moment.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't think Kat had any malicious intent behind it. I think she purely was, again, looking to soothe her own anxieties. But I do feel that if the roles were reversed, Kat wouldn't have received it well either. And I think that that's the missing piece here, is there's a lack of Kat being willing to validate what Charity and the other girls were feeling as a means of self-protection and from not feeling shame. And it's really rubbing everybody the wrong way. So yeah, those are my 2 cents on it. In a nutshell.
Hear you, and I very much agree. I understood why Kat did what she did. I think it came from more of a human moment of, I also didn't get to see this person last week. I miss this person. Her connection with Zach is quite strong. And so I think for her, she was like, this is my opportunity because I'm really not going to have one because I don't have a one-on-one. I'm just going to pull him right now because I miss him and I want to like see him.
Yeah.
It's just not appropriate for the setting. So it makes a lot of sense. Like I would have respected the situation if she just like had that human moment. It was like, I'm going to take this opportunity. And then when the girls were like, hey, don't you think that was a little fucked up? If she would have been like, you know what, honestly, yeah, that like, I can understand why people are upset. I understand that I wouldn't have liked that. I'll be honest. I don't think I thought about it that much. I just missed him and I wanted to see him. I would have respected that a bit more. Just like human error.
Yeah. Like I wasn't
But she
thinking.
totally invalidated them. And she played victim. She was like, wow, you're aggressing me. And it's like, yeah, because your behavior warranted some sort of confrontation and you just don't like this confrontation.
Exactly. That's what I have in my notes. It's
Yeah.
like, it was a little like gaslighty in a way. And again,
Yeah.
I don't think it's malicious on Kat's end, but I think it's truly coming from a place of like, don't tell me I'm wrong because then I need to feel guilty about it and I don't want to feel guilty about it. Is really what's going on for Kat. But, you know, she's labeling like, why are you being so aggressive? That's like a staple of gaslighting term. But it's not so much that Brooklyn was being aggressive. It was that Kat didn't like what she was hearing. And so to make the other person shut up, that was what she tried to reach for. And and I commend Brooklyn. Don't fuck with Brooklyn. Don't fuck with her.
Yo, do not fuck with Brooklyn.
I know. I want to be friends with her. She's like that. She's that kind of girl that like I wanted my life to be like, bitch, you don't need to feel guilty. You should feel guilty about it. Like, I like that. Very like, you know, black and white in this kind of way. But she has a way of trying to communicate in like, don't fuck with me. But she still has a way of being respectful in a way. Like,
yeah, she's quite calm.
She's quite calm. Yeah, thank you. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, it was interesting, to watch these two kind of implode on each other. I understand how Kat took offense to the classless comment. Cause again, like it wasn't her trying to not, you know, to be shady or anything. It just kind of happened. And yeah, that was the impact it had on people. So yeah, it got uncomfortable. But yeah. I'm glad that we had a very similar understanding.
Very similar. Okay, we have more to unpack on that, but we'll get there when we go to the group date.
Yeah,
because there's just like a part 2. There's like 3 parts to this.
I know, it's too much.
That was part 1. It makes sense that they blew this up because they have no villains left. Like, they have very little conflict going on, so like they had to blow up something from an editing perspective, which is like annoying, but. Why can't we just have conscious relationship conversations?
I know.
In the show.
We need to start that reality TV show.
I know. It's going to be the least watched show in the world.
Or not. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? Let's find out. Someone. Imagine going to a studio to pitch a show. Hear me out. Conscious relationship conversations.
Yeah.
In which we set up situations that natural conflict would arise, but we actually just deal with it from a conscious perspective in which we are committed to hearing each other's perspectives. And we hear what everyone wants to say and how they're feeling. And maybe we inject a little bit of parts language to really like allow for the validity of all of these feelings that are coming up.
You're kind of
what do we think?
Be careful. Yeah.
I can just see execs being like,
yeah.
Sorry, what?
Yeah. But we could pitch it to them like, let the trigger and the drama happen, but then we come in and it's like, now we're going to bring it in.
Yes. Have you heard of the internal family systems model?
Yeah.
And then we teach it. And then we sit there and we talk to our inner children. I love you too.
I love that we can joke like this.
I know. There's a small percentage of people who are listening to this to be like, I understand what they're saying. And then the rest, like, we gave you some Googleable terms. Yeah. Google it. There you go. Google IFS video. It's 8.5 minutes long. I watch it once a week. It's by David Foster.
Really? I love it.
Because I recommend it to clients when I start talking about it, and I want them to like feel
helpful.
Like, I want them to be able to digest it outside of our meeting. So it's so helpful. It's such a good little video anyway.
Love it. Look at you.
Thanks.
So Charity finally gets to go on her one-on-one.
And I finally get to see why people think Charity is fun. So thank you.
Me too, because it's like, what? Like, she's so grounded. And don't get me wrong, like, I love a good grounded person, but I'm a goober. So she's there. She's with us. She's like us.
She is.
Have her on the show.
Oh my God, she'd be a blast. She surprised me, but I understand it. Like, I think that the elements of her that showed up on this date, I think Zach was seeing more of, and I'm sure that the other girls get to see a lot of. We just don't get to see it as an
wasn't
audience.
Publicized. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So Charity was such a vibe. Like, they had this weird little Estonian drink which was clearly fucking disgusting for all parties involved. Sounded like it had a lot of pepper in there.
Yeah.
They did the little chariot ride, and they got to do the wife run. I don't know.
I
It's
loved
just
the wife
like
Carrie. I loved the
she was
wife
just down.
Carrie. She was down, and she was like, I had my face in his ass, and I died laughing when she said that because I was not expecting her to use that kind of language.
Say
I was like,
ass.
yes, girl.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like, yes.
Charity.
If I was her, I would have been like, please don't fart in my face. And Zach crushed it. They had a great time. They had a win and a smooch. And then they go to dinner where she opens up about her past relationship being emotionally abusive with chronic cheating.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was really lovely to see her take her time. I think a lot of time when we are sharing a really uncomfortable truth about our past with someone, we feel the need to fill the space with a lot of words. And so it's like we over explain and then it just gets more awkward from there. But she did a really good job of like articulating what she needed to and taking a pause to like gather herself to get to that space. So thank you. Thank you, Charity, for leading by example on how to have an uncomfortable conversation like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And to talk about her experience with it. It wasn't just that she was like shifting blame to a person. She was just talking about what it was like to be in her position. She mentioned she called on the experience of feeling shame and embarrassment for having been in that position. And I feel for her because I don't think that anyone should ever feel shameful or embarrassed for being in a position that someone else quite literally did what they could to keep you there. Right. But I appreciate that she named that for the visibility of other people that might feel the same way.
And it's so that was true. Helpful. Yeah. And I was just touching on this too. It's like we go through these shame loops of like, why didn't I leave sooner? Why did I believe them? Why did I let them do that to me? And it's like, it's not helpful. Excuse me, to treat yourself that way. And so when the second she said that, I was like, girl, I feel you. I so understand how that's like. I've been there myself. And I think that's a huge part of the healing journey is just that relatability of like other people have felt this too and experienced this too. Like I'm not alone in this pain. So I love that she was able to express that on national television and for other people. And same with Brooklyn's story, you know, Jesus, it's like these women are owning their shit. It's wild. And so thank you, everybody.
I want to like ask Zach, like,
are you overwhelmed?
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to just be like, what's this like for you to get to see all of these really vulnerable experiences of these like truly wonderful women? And I think that a lot of us have stories like this, and a lot of women have been through a lot of shit that adds to the mosaic of who they are in character as people in the world. Yeah, the mosaic.
Love it.
And like it reinforces this theory that I have that the closer that you get to a person, the more that you get to know about them, the more affection and empathy that you can have for them. And all of a sudden you're just like, you love them, you have love for them, or you're in love with them, or maybe it's a combination of all of them. And I just wonder, there's a part of me that wants to ask Zach, like, what are you going to do now having this exposure to the underbellies of women's experiences? Like, I hope he doesn't take it for granted because this stuff is hard to share.
So true.
And if it's shared with you, it's hopefully because you're a safe person. You make that person feel safe. But I also hope that it's aiding to his worldview of like, this is what women oftentimes go through and experience. Like, how does that shift your worldview? That's all I want to know.
Yeah. How does that make you feel about the patriarchal society that's been set up globally that really fucks women over? Question mark.
Fucking right. Fucking right. Period.
Oh, damn. We're on one today. I'm fired up. Let's go. With my mucus train.
Yeah, our emotional support toilet paper rolls. Let's go.
Oh, God. Oh, let me call this.
Okay. We're vamping.
That was the first
Alex,
one.
That's I heard it on the come up. Oh, you're
sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry. Okay.
It's raw and real, and here we are. Okay. So Charity has a really good date. I mean, Zach is good in these situations.
He's so good.
I'm grateful that he is the one in these positions to be able to receive this, because he really just gives them that space. He holds it for them. He affirms them. He doesn't try to do too much, and I appreciate that. And they have a lovely time, and then they go home.
For any gentleman listening to this show, or fuck that, whatever you have between your legs, if you are holding space for a partner who is sharing this kind of experience with you, watch how Zach handles it. And like, that's the way we want to model it. It's like, you're affirming, you're just holding the space. You're not trying to fix or solve or dive deeper. You're letting them share as much as they want to share. And that is like chef's kiss energy right there. Yeah. Like, that's what we want. So I just want to call that out too, because I think there's a lot of discomfort in like, how do I need to be now that this person's sharing this with me? Oh my God. So watch and learn.
Yeah, totally. You don't have to show up perfectly.
No.
You can just let someone know that you are, you don't even know what to say, but you're glad that they took the opportunity to say it, and that you hear them. That will also go a long way. Yes. So they have their cutie date and they come back, and I appreciated that Charity, when she got back to the girls, she told them, she was like, I had such a good time. It just felt like really special, even though I had to sort of forget what had happened before our date. And I appreciate that she sort of gave herself an opportunity to initiate. If it had stopped there, I'd have been like, okay, it's a little petty. Like, say what you mean. But she used it as an opportunity to open the door to say, hey, I remember what happened. I didn't appreciate it. Like, it ain't over. We're not done here.
To be continued. Yeah.
So
meanwhile, while Charity's on her date, we're seeing Jess freak out about not having a one-on-one, because the group date card gets delivered, and it becomes very apparent that Ariel is going to be the next gal who gets a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And Jess is stuck in this thought loop of, I'm the last one to have a one-on-one. I haven't done it yet. I'm the only one here that hasn't had a one-on-one. And Gabby chimes in trying to comfort her and says, like, Greer also hasn't had one. But she reframes it and is like, it means something that you're still here. Like, focus on that. Yeah. And Jess was, like, unable to be soothed because of her own relationship anxiety. And I really felt for the girl. I did.
Me too.
I could understand how that feels, watching women after women get this, one-on-one situation, and seeing them come back and hearing how much more their relationship with Zach has grown, and only sitting in comparison mindset. I get how that can easily happen.
Right.
And as we see later on in this group date, and I just want to like tease this now, we don't need to jump into it, is that when we get so focused on our anxiety that we're inconsolable, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. And we're just going to leave it there.
Yeah, it's true. So we start to see her get quite anxious, and obviously there was a bit of tension as the group date even began, because of the tension between Brooklyn and Kat. And then Jess is obviously also having a hard time. So by the time they get to the witch,
it's like,
it's palpable.
It's palpable. We needed the witch. We needed to lean on the witch a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
Can you help release this anxiety off of me?
That's right. I wish that the witch was like, I'm seeing you light the sage on fire, but I'm not seeing clarity. I'm not seeing the space be cleared. How about we clear this space? What do we need to do to clear this space?
Yeah. Who's hiding some shit?
Yeah. But anyway, and then they have to stare into each other's eyes through the flame of a candle. That was kind of interesting. I can't take Zach seriously when he does anything serious. It's kind of hard for me. I'm not really sure why, because he always looks like he's performing the act of someone doing something serious instead of just being serious about it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that.
I saw like Katie really like connect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wasn't seeing it on him. I just saw him being like, I am taking this seriously. I'm taking this seriously. I'm taking this seriously. Whereas Katie's like, I'm seeing my future and I love you.
Aww.
Hey, and she talks about that a little bit. So we get a little bit of insight about that. But even, Gabby is like looking through that candle wick, and she's like, I'm here. What's up? You know?
Yeah. I wonder if what you were picking up on is Zach's discomfort with prolonged eye contact, because that can be something. Girl, my first day of trauma school, that's all we did in peer session was like,
it's
for 20
awkward.
minutes.
It's
for 20
awkward.
minutes. Yeah, just learning and like shifting the gaze from like a really direct stare to like a zoomed out version. And it can be very vulnerable. Vulnerable for some people. So I'm curious to know if that was the deadpan, is like he was maybe stopping himself from fully allowing the gaze to
maybe transmute. and I'd understand that too, because it is uncomfortable, and also it's not like it's just the two of you doing it. You're being watched by your other girlfriends.
So true.
Watching you do
Poor
it.
Zach. Like, oh, that's awkward. Yeah.
Yeah. Super
it's like,
weird.
I can't connect with you more than everybody else, so let me limit this gaze maybe, because it's like, I don't want people reading into it. That could be
my money's on that. My money is definitely betting on that.
Okay.
So
we're done. We figured you out.
Yeah, you can't get by us. So then we get to, does anything happen between the witch and the cocktail portion of the group date?
Just that Jess's flame goes out when she's staring with, and it was awkward, and it only capitalized on her anxiety. I know.
Yeah, a little bit of poetic justice there.
I know. Fuck.
Oh, poor girl.
So then we go to the cocktail party / evening portion of these group dates. I don't even know what we're supposed to call them. And Zach pulls Katie first, which I wasn't surprised about at all. I think he really likes it. I get those two. I think they're super cute. I understand it. Like, I'm fine. I'm about this connection. I like it.
Me too. I like it too. I feel much better about it than how I thought I was going to feel about them. And it's a very grounded connection. She is very secure in herself, because even the way that she was talking about it, she she has, you know how sometimes strong connections in the Bachelor Bachelorette series, when they get quite far in the end, there's a strong connection, but it's really strong because they're also kind of blocking out that there are other people there, or they're almost like Greg Grippo with Katie was like he'd like forgotten that there were other dudes, like that was sort of the mental gymnastics that he was going through.
You and me,
right. And then when he realized that there was like more people, and that those people that were left were quite serious, it sort of did him in.
Fucked with him.
It totally fucked with him. I don't think that Katie is in a similar position. I think that she is kind of like, I'm aware that he has other connections, and I'm aware that those connections are strong, but I trust this one, and I feel good in this one. So it's very grounded. It's very secure. And because it's secure, it doesn't waver very often. She's not having crazy highs and lows, whereas Kat is having crazy highs and lows. Jess is obviously having crazy highs and lows. Gabby was until her one-on-one. So
I loved what Katie was sharing with him. I made a note that this is an example of how vulnerability breeds intimacy, because she's admitting something that a lot of women are like too scared to admit. She's like, you make me all giddy. You give me these butterflies, and like, I like you. Like, I like you, like you. And for a lot of women and people in general, that's just a really scary thing to do, because you're admitting, you're putting your cards on the table. You are like, I'm not hiding anything. This whole culture that quite literally what Ditch the Script was born from, of like, you know, play it cool bullshit that we've been conditioned to believe, like, you know, be less available, act hard to get, blah, blah, blah. Such baloney. And this is a great example of how she's being vulnerable with him, and it's allowing intimacy to really become developed between the two of them, because Zach then is like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And he's able to be vulnerable with her. So I just thought that that was a really cute connection, and a great example of how when we actually own who we are and how we're feeling, it really does allow the relationship to blossom. Like, So beautiful.
It's great. Gabby as well. Gabby has still a really strong connection after her one-on-one. And it was like the two of them were sort of sharing the same thoughts. They were just like, I missed you. I missed you too. And I was almost a little bit surprised this felt like the first time that I heard Zach sort of show some of his cards where he's like, you're one of my stronger connections.
Yep. Yeah, same. I picked up on that and I was like, ooh, hey.
Oh, whoa.
But for Gabby, I can only imagine how relieving that was to hear.
Oh my God.
It's like, yeah, like she clearly, they have something really unique and strong as well. And, you know, since she got a one-on-one later on, of course there's going to be, I'm totally assuming, but there's some scripting in the back of her mind that's like, how do I compare though, compared to the other relationships that you develop sooner? Like, am I still too far behind?
Right.
But with them, it wasn't that at all. And I think by this moment she didn't feel that, but I think leading into the one-on-one that was probably coming up. So to have,
Agreed.
so to have Zach like quite literally wipe out any possibility of her second guessing anything, gold. Yeah. So it was
I'm telling you,
chill.
there's an air about her that's a little different after that one-on-one.
Yeah.
I'm seeing her standing in her
confident.
confidence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I agree. I love her.
Me
Gabby,
too.
let's be friends. Gabby and Charity and Brooklyn. Can we be friends?
Alex is like semi in your, I mean, I know that a lot of people don't live in Los Angeles, and I know you don't either, but people tend to migrate towards Southern California after these shows.
Oh, yeah.
So like, come find your girl.
I'm over here, like, full transparency. So like, I'm obviously single and like starting to dabble with like, oh yeah, getting ready to date again. And I was like, if Zach was in Anaheim, which is only an hour and a half from me, like, what other wonders of the world are hiding in Anaheim in my backyard? I'm like,
yeah,
I want to meet a Zach, like, you know, a version of him,
a conscious,
something like that.
Relationship,
a conscious dude, who's emotionally intelligent.
Dude. Yeah, he is emotionally intelligent.
Okay, who's a goober?
He's a goober. I love that for him. I love the moments when he like really lets go. I definitely see him oscillate between being like totally goofy in himself, being a serious guy, which also seems like himself, but then like being like presentation Zach. I think that the pressure is actually building for him a little bit more as he's in relationship with women that he's in relationships with women that he's eventually going to cut off. Like watching him interact with Allie was really interesting because I had a gut feeling that she wasn't going to make it past this week. So I was just sort of listening for when they had their next one-on-one. And the only reason why I really knew that is because we don't see much of her in the edits.
Right.
So I'm like, there's no way that she's going to make it very, very far because I really don't even know how they're getting on anymore.
I know.
They have like a one-on-one chat at some point, and I'm just like, oh, I wonder what's going through his head because he probably is clear that she's not gonna move on. How is he dealing with this moment when she's talking to him about like how she like feels connected to him but then gets worried because it's been a really long time and blah blah blah, like I sort of start to see him kind of be more performative, and for good reasons. Like he's a human being, like I get it, he's saving face. I again, I don't envy anyone in that position. It's probably not the funnest to be in. No, sucks.
So circling back to Jess, we hear her throughout the evening of this group date, again, hyper-fixating and reiterating over and over again, I'm the only one without a one-on-one. I'm the only one that's here that hasn't had a one-on-one. And she keeps saying that, which means her energy is focusing on that and feeling that. And what I thought was so surprising to me was Zach in his confessional is like, I feel confident with Jess. Jess is intriguing to me. And I'm like, wow. So what ends up happening is Zach goes and finds Jess, pulls her for a chat just to connect like he's doing with everyone else on this group date. And Jess starts to share with him how she's feeling. And at first I was like, okay, this isn't the end of the world. Like, this isn't red flaggy. She's doing okay. Zach responded, also doing okay, was reassuring her, was trying to comfort her. But then we have this like communication breakdown bomb situation where I really felt Jess wanted to be validated by Zach. And I think Zach was really trying to comfort her and put her mind at ease and be like, I'm confident in us. Like, I'm intrigued by you. Like, I want to get to know you. And she really wanted, I think, an answer as to why she hadn't had a one-on-one yet. And it puts Zach in a shitty position because it's like, what is he supposed to tell you? Like, I just haven't picked you yet. I'm sorry. Like, I there hasn't been a date that came up. Like, what answer is he going to give you that's really going to make you feel better? But she kept harping on it and over again. And Zach finally was just like, okay, there's a disconnect here. And so I'm curious to know, like, with everything that was shared, like, what were some things that came up for you? What did you notice? Because this was like a doozy of a conversation.
Oh my God. I had the same thoughts.
Chaos. Yeah.
I had the same thoughts because I was like, I understood where she was coming from. She was fixating on these one-on-ones, and I think she was trying to explain to him, like, the one-on-ones seem to have a really big impact. So I feel like I'm falling behind is what I think she was trying to let him know from her position. I think that Zach wasn't doing as good of a job as I've seen him do in other situations of seeing or trying to better understand what she was feeling and what she was experiencing. It seemed like what was contributing to this communication breakdown was she's telling him what this means and what it must mean. And he's like, well, you're wrong. That's not what this means. These one-on-ones don't just determine my connections. And she's like, but I'm feeling like they very much do. And then they just got into this like battle with each other. And I think that if what she was really curious about was his thought process around choosing one-on-ones or how he is looking to build connections outside of one-on-ones, she needed to just ask him.
Yeah.
I'm getting in my head. The one-on-ones feel so important. And every time I'm not picked for one, it makes me really insecure. So I just want to know your thought process. Like, how do you feel about how you make these decisions? Like, maybe that would have put him on the spot, but it would have given him a little bit more room to actually say more about what his thoughts and feelings were, and maybe made her feel, maybe given her more information to work with, because they just seemed like they found themselves at an impasse. And in typical dating scenarios, you can work with an impasse. You take a break, you revisit the conversation. But in a game like this, a literal game, it's like if you have one impasse and it doesn't feel good, it's like you're not moving on.
No. Yeah, I completely agree. I think this was a great example of like focusing on facts instead of emotions. Cause it's like Jess in her mind is convinced, like, because I haven't had a one-on-one, this is why I'm feeling emotional. But the reality is she's just feeling emotional because she doesn't feel as connected to Zach as she's assuming other women do. And so it's one of those things where it's like, if I could have been in that room with them, I would have been like, instead of saying one-on-one or what dates, who and other people have been on, I want you to just say how you're feeling. Like, I'm feeling behind. I'm feeling less than. I'm feeling disconnected from you. I'm feeling concerned that you might not see me as an option for you. What do you have to say about those things? Or where are you at? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Because that's really what the issue was. But she was so hyper fixated on one-on-one equals connection. And Zach was trying to tell her, no, it doesn't, which feels invalidating. And that was his way of trying to comfort her. Yeah. That it was just this like abruption of like, meh. So, yeah. And so
I agree.
This is something that like, I always say, like, if you find yourself on the merry-go-round, because that's really what it was. Like, she kept saying the same thing over and over again. If you find that in a person, it's most likely because they're trying to articulate facts instead of feelings. And so if a really great tool here is like, I hear what you're saying about whatever facts. So in this case, Zach could have been like, I hear what you're saying about the one-on-one, but I'm really curious to know, like, I feel that your feelings are what really matter here. Can you tell me how this is making you feel? So I can come in and like help you with those feelings. Right. And I think that that's something that all of us can be better at, because we feel the need to like problem solve logically, but in this emotion, logic has no place with emotions, you know?
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a shame because I think that they had a strong enough connection that had they both handled this conversation a little bit differently, what I would have hoped Jess would have had the opportunity to learn is that Zach felt really certain about how he felt about her, and he had no intention of really letting her go before getting some proper one-on-one time. It just wasn't happening in these weeks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So she goes home, and it was kind of like a mutual agreement. Yeah. but it was kind of heart-wrenching to watch for both of them.
Yeah, she was like, I'm not gonna like fight for someone who isn't fighting for me. I also thought that was an interesting assumptions to put on someone.
Agreed.
And it felt very like, I don't actually know the word for it. Maybe you can help me with this, but it felt sort of like you're making this very movie Hollywood statement about, like, it's quite melodramatic, where it's like you're making this assumption that this person isn't willing to fight for you, when really, like, you're just not you're having a disconnect in this moment.
You're not
like,
hearing him, because like I feel like initially Zach was like trying really hard to be like, girl, I like you, like, we're Gucci, like, I want you around. But again, because of her own anxiety, she literally could not hear him say that. And so that's what I mean by, like, be careful. Look, I think I said on our last podcast, like, I have a relationship with anxiety. I've been a Jess before. I have been so emotionally lost in the sauce and it's proven, like, our 3 little ear bones will start to close up when we are dysregulated. So, like, selective hearing does really become a thing. And this is why knowing how to regulate through your emotions and ride the wave is so imperative to human connection, because if we are trying to communicate from a dysregulated place, this is what happens. The communication doesn't happen. So, you know, I really feel for her, because there's an answer. And the good news is I think she's 23. She's really young. Like, right? So, like, she has time to learn this, and she's going to find an amazing man who can make her feel confident in their connection, you know? So it's not the end of the world for Jess, but man, it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch for me, because I just wanted to be like, stop.
Yeah. Stop doing what you're doing.
Huh?
I just, I agree. They should stop doing what they were doing.
Yeah. Stop doing what you're doing. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Ariel. Sorry. Ariel. Sauna. Spa.
I will be honest. Yeah. So the setting of their one-on-one date was like a sauna spa, which they didn't realize, or was a surprise to them, that it was on a nudist colony. And so they had some visitors that were sort of like crashing their date. But honestly, before the nudists came to join the party, I found their interactions to be quite awkward and not like super fluid. And I get it. Like, they're human beings. They are still getting to know each other. They're already doing these like quite intimate rituals and activities that they maybe as individuals wouldn't have chosen for a first date. So I get it. It's just like a little clunky. But I just was like, I don't like what I'm seeing. It just felt weird.
Yeah, I didn't feel there was as much emotional depth on their one-on-one as experienced with other one-on-ones. And I'm curious to see how that goes, because Ariel's been a front runner physically, at least. Like, they want to fuck each other so bad, which is great. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But the longevity of their relationship, like, that emotional intimacy needs to come in. And so I was hoping to see more than I did. But simultaneously, it's like you put a hot and bothered connection in a steamy, you know, what you're supposed to be naked in a sauna and a jacuzzi. And it's like, what's really going to come online there? Like, emotional intimacy or more makeout sessions. So,
right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm still curious to see where it goes with them. Like, they are really all about each other. I thought we were going to see it. Yeah, me too. They're really all about each other, but I'm not convinced that it's more than a sexual connection right now, just yet. I'm not saying that there isn't.
Agree.
But from what we've seen.
I agree. Yeah. It's so interesting because their connection has been quite physical. And there's just a lot of like sexual undertones to the moments that they weren't like making out. But they've connected in the past. But they did get the sexier date. They got like they had to neutralize the sex appeal with other like nude people that they wouldn't have chosen to be there on their date, but they like did get this sexier, like, bare, example of a date. And so it just felt like a disservice because of this thing that you just mentioned that I hadn't thought about, which is like, what's really going to make room to come up? Is it just going to be their physical connection, or is it going to be something that they are like getting to know more about each other on a deeper level? We did get to see Ariel talk more about how she's humor as a defense mechanism. It's hard for her to be vulnerable. That she's currently in a place in her life where she's trying to weigh out the risks of being vulnerable because being closed off keeps her lonely. I really appreciated hearing her talk about that.
Agreed.
So I saw her starting to go there. And I think like she could have given an inch and Zach would have been like, oh my God, I'm emotionally connecting with you. Thank God. Like, this is amazing. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's where he ended up, but maybe we just didn't get to see everything, but
yeah. Jury's out on that one. We'll figure it out in due time. But I thought for sure, I was like, is it going to be like Katie, Ariel, Gabby? But I'm like not feeling like Ariel made it to that higher, stronger connection, as Zach would call it. Yet, at least. We'll see.
Right.
Okay.
So what we didn't mention is Greer is out sick with COVID. So she kind of gets like a default rose because I guess that she must have chosen to stay. Whereas like Logan got COVID and he was like, I'm out of here. I gotta go. So we get to the rose ceremony. There's a situation with Charity and Kat and Brooklyn again. It doesn't really go anywhere.
No.
But like Kat tries to pull Charity. I do wish that Brooklyn didn't insert herself because that was going to be my comment. I think that I think that Kat and Charity would have had it out because I think something we didn't mention is that Ariel had talked to Kat after the girls initially were like, hey, was that a little messed up that you did that with Zach before Charity's one-on-one? And Ariel was talking to her and Kat was trying to help her understand. She was like, don't you understand that it's because of the circumstances that I wouldn't have done this? Like if we were in different circumstances. And Ariel was just like, but you did do it.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, yes, like it's her behavior, like own your behavior, own your choices.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do think that Kat had pulled Charity because she was aware that this was like going to be an issue. She pulled Charity. She's like, let's talk about this. I think her and Charity were getting to this place, but they were getting through their like little polite niceties first.
Yeah.
And then Brooklyn kind of bulldozed and it's like, babe.
Yeah. Yeah. Brooklyn has a really strong fight response. And I don't know what it is about like her feeling the need to like, come to Charity's defense. Cause at that point it wasn't her battle to fight. Right. It was Charity's. And it would have been one thing if Charity was like, can you have my back in this conversation? Because I'm feeling intimidated and like, let me lead. But like, if I lose my words, like if you could help me articulate those words, that'd be great. Like, but that's not what happened. And so it really, like, I understood why Kat was like, not going to continue. What I think would have been a better way to handle it is like, letting Brooklyn know, like, look, I understand you have strong feelings about this. I'm talking with Charity right now. Let us talk between ourselves, and then you and I can talk between ourselves. Because what Brooklyn was starting to say, she was trying to compare it to something with Jess. I'm not quite sure where Brooklyn was going with that, but it wasn't going to be helpful. So it just was a hot mess express, and Kat stormed off the end.
Yeah, that's it. And what was really interesting to me is that when Kat had her one-on-one chat with Zach, he was sort of like, he was calling attention to the tension of what he noticed on the group date during the witch's brew moment. And I have a lot of feelings about this because he was like, I just think something felt off, but I just wanted to like check in about it. And Kat fully fucking lied to him.
I know.
She fully lied to him. She was like, what, between you and me? And he's like, I don't think he even like specified that. He was just like, something was off and he needed clarity because like his instinct, his gut was saying like, something's off here. And Kat, I understand why she did what she did. She lied and she said, no, I mean, nothing's going on between you and I. Like, maybe it's just because I was in a group date. She did it because she wanted to make sure that she could establish security in their connection. She wanted to not give way to say, there's nothing going on between you and me that you have to worry about. But that's not what he was asking about. And that could have still been true if she was just honest with him to be like, the girls didn't like that I pulled you before Charity was dating, so they're having feelings about it. Like, that could have totally been avoided. If she was just honest. And then it would have confirmed that, like, his gut feeling was right.
Yeah. Yeah, because, again, like, she's not intending to gaslight him. But now Zach is going to question, like, oh, well, I felt like we were off, but now she's telling me that we weren't. And so, okay, I'm going to ignore that gut feeling moving forward. And that's not conducive for Zach's well-being either. So, yeah, it's like, I think that she could have prefaced it with, like, there's nothing wrong between you and I. And like you said, just mention, like, what happened. The girls have feelings, and I'm still trying to navigate with that because they were really upset about it. And that would have been that. And it would have honestly provided him an opportunity to be like, oh, well, between you and I didn't feel like that was a big deal. I can get, putting myself in their shoes. And like, he could have empathized with her, but she robbed him of that opportunity. So again, the lack of vulnerability is not helping her relationship with him. Everyone go watch Brené's Brown thing on vulnerability is strength, not weakness. We all need it. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's right. Then we go to the rose ceremony. And Allie goes home, and she fucking handles it like a champ. I loved what she said to him leaving. Yeah, she was just like, there's so many wonderful women in there, and one of them's the right one for you. Treat them right. Wish you the best. Bye.
I just wish that that we heard him say something to her, like, about why? Like anything. Yeah. Kind of screwed up.
And there's a part of me that's curious to know, because, like, Allie and him have a great emotional connection, but I'm not seeing the sexual connection. So I'm curious to know, like, what if he took her on the spa date? Like, what would that have induced between them? You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
light the fire.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, like, what that was about. If it was, like, I just don't feel the romantic side of me getting there with her, or what it is. Because Allie's fucking great. I love that girl. If she goes on VIP, she will get engaged. Like, she is ready. She is beautiful. Yeah, and
she's rock solid. I love her.
She's rock solid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Queen.
What are we ditching this week?
I want to ditch. Listen, this is what we're ditching. You can't be. I don't know if this makes sense in the way that that sentence started. You can't be afraid to deal with the confrontation of and consequences of your behavior if your behavior elicits confrontation afterwards. Like, if you're going to do something that is bold and by some people's definition selfish, own that shit. Yeah. Own it. And allow it to be, and take responsibility for it, but also make space to have empathy for what other people may have, how they may have experienced it. Like, it's like, just be accountable, hear what other people have to say. You can live in your truth and recognize you may have gone about something not so perfectly and learn from it. It'll help you. That's what I'm ditching. Yeah. Agreed. I think Kat was really, truly just trying to not feel the shame or guilt of what she did unintentionally. But I want to say that it was unintentional. Like, I don't think she did it from a malicious place. And so it's like, just because you upset people doesn't mean you're a bad person. And I think that that's why she was trying so hard to deflect and defend away from it. So yeah, I agree. That's what we're ditching. And, going off of what we saw with Kat, is we're also ditching the bold-faced lie of trying to protect our true emotions and feelings. And we're going to lean into vulnerability. And if someone is like, hey, something felt off, what was up with that? Instead of being like, I'm fine, we're fine, and low-key gaslighting people, we're going to say, yeah, what's actually coming up for me is this, and this is what I need from you right now, or this is how I'm handling it. And we're going to own our true feelings, no matter how vulnerable and raw it might feel expressing them. And can we fucking ditch the I'm feeling attacked, I'm being attacked narrative? I can't. It's like, Stop being a wimp. You're a wimp. Saddle on up. Let's go. Yeah. Like, you're not being attacked. People are confronting you.
Right. They're trying to have a conversation with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging with us today, y'all. If you liked us, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And make sure to give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok at Ditch the Script Pod. And if you have a question you want us to answer, head to our website, ditchthescriptpod.com. And don't forget, we're currently offering free 30-minute sessions with both of us. So head to ditchthescriptpod.com/podcast if you want to apply for that. Sending you lots of love.
And healing. I hope everyone heals from the colds that we are all collectively suffering from.
Let's all heal from the colds. Okay. Bye.
Bye.